Here I was, the plan in mind to sit down and film a video for you guys, and bam! The Padres and Marlins drop a huge trade, the biggest of the season to date. So we've got to give some instant analysis to this trade. Now, let me say this in advance. Jeff Passan is reporting that this is going to happen. At time of recording, it has not officially gone through, but is expected to go through. So if something comes up, not my fault. The trade broke down. So what is the deal? The Marlins are sending second baseman Luis Arraez, the batting champion from last year, to the San Diego Padres. In return, the Padres are giving up a package of 4 players. Korean reliever Woo-Sok Go, who they signed in the offseason, 25 years old, and 3 minor league prospects. Their number 6 prospect, Dylan Head, who was a first-round draft pick in 2023, as well as outfielder number 9 prospect, Jacob Marcy, and number 13 prospect, Nathan Martorella. Martorella and Marcy were both at AA, both drafted in 2022. And we know for a fact that this trade was indeed a surprise, because at the time he was traded, Martorella was standing at second base in a minor league game. So this is brand new. We need to take a look from the Marlins side. We'll take a look from the Padres side. Let's check it all out. Let's go. Let's start from the Padres side of things, bringing in Luis Arraez. What does he offer to the Padres? Well, we know what Luis Arraez is. He is a player who has led the league in batting, both the American League and National League, the last 2 seasons. So he is without question one of the hits leaders in baseball, an incredible ability to get on base with the hit. He doesn't walk a lot. There's not very much speed. The defense is kind of poor. But Arraez does what he does best, and that's get on base by getting hits. Incredible bat-to-ball skills, the best in baseball. It'll remind people of a lot of Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn is still a much better player, but Arraez is kind of built in that mold. Now, what does it do defensively? Because this is very interesting for the Padres, who've been known for having all these shortstops across every position on their infield and outfield. Arraez has played predominantly second base for the Marlins. He has experience playing first base with the Twins when he's in that organization. He also played some left field. He also played some third base. So what do I think the Padres are going to do with him? Well, I think he becomes sort of their primary DH, but almost a super utility player. He can play third, second, and first. That allows the Padres to then shuffle Machado, Bogaerts, Cronenworth, even Ha-Seong Kim to a degree through that DH spot, and kind of gives a chance to give every player off their feet. So not really the primary DH, because he'll be moving around the infield, I think, but he does give the opportunity to spread the wealth and use the DH to give players a day or 2 off of the feet. And of course, this is very important because Manny Machado is just coming back from injury. He's just really started playing at third base again. Xander Bogaerts is adjusting to second base, having moved over there from shortstop. Ha-Seong Kim is basically locked in as the everyday shortstop. I would not expect him to get many days off. And Jake Cronenworth as well, playing a lot of first base. So Arraez becomes mainly a DH, but can play all over. I would not expect to see him in the outfield. It has been quite a few years. I believe it was 2021 the last time we saw Luis Arraez in the outfield. So I don't see that happening. In terms of a contract, Arraez's deal runs through to the end of 2025. We know that the Padres have a ton of guys locked up long-term. Arraez is on the same free agent pathway as Dylan Cease, the starter they acquired in the offseason from the White Sox. So this is very interesting to see how the Padres go about maybe trying to retain some of these guys, or they maybe kind of almost 2-year rentals and see what the Padres can do. We know we're trying to move on from the stench that was last season. I think they have a very solid team. When we look at the lineup put together, they can put together, it is very, very solid. A lot of contact, a lot of power. They're not going to strike out a ton. They're going to be a fairly solid offensive team from top to bottom. This definitely lengthens the lineup for them, adds a leadoff hitter. Xander Bogaerts has had some struggles in that role, but that allows him to move down maybe in the second, maybe 4th, 5th spot for Bogaerts. We saw what he did in those types of roles in Boston, so I think this is a good match for Bogaerts. Overall, I like the Arraez deal for the Padres. I don't love it because of what they're giving up. Not that they're giving up a ton, but they are giving up some solid prospects. And we know the Padres have traded away a ton of prospects the last few years. So it's very interesting to see what they're going about there. Thanks for making it 3 Up, 3 Down. If you love all kinds of baseball content, make sure you are subscribed to the channel for everything Major League Baseball. As for the Marlins side of the deal, I'm really, really confused with what the Marlins are trying to do. They made the playoffs last year. They were extremely lucky to do so based off of run differential and all over the metrics. They were extremely good in one-run games, and they have fallen off a cliff this season and definitely regressed. The injuries in the pitching staff have caught up to them. Jesus Luzardo has gone down a bit now. Yuri Perez, Sandy Alcantara are both gone for the year. So they are looking to kind of rebuild, I guess, but the prospects they brought in are solid enough, but they're not real game changers by any means. You've almost acquired 4 wild cards for their one sure thing. And keep in mind, the Marlins got Luis Arraez by trading away Pablo Lopez. Would you take these 4 players for Pablo Lopez? Probably not at this time, but it does give them some organizational flexibility and players that have many, many years of service time to come. Woo-Sock Go is really interesting me. I don't understand what is going on there. I thought he was going to be a part of the Padres bullpen, and that's why he was signed. The fact he's now been pitching in the minor leagues relatively well, but he's still pitching in the minor leagues, adjusting maybe to the North American lifestyle and game, but has not been the type of player I thought the Padres were going to get. So maybe it's an opportunity for a reset for Woo-Sock Go. Maybe he can find his way into the Marlins pen and pitch predominantly in the major leagues. The prospects are interesting. Basically 3 outfielders, but Nathan Martorella probably profiles better as a first baseman than an outfielder, so maybe a fit there in the future. The young prospects they have acquired have struggled for the most part this season. Dylan Head, a first-round pick in 2023, as I mentioned, has been very good in the past. He struggled a little bit this year. Jacob Marcy was struggling a bit at Double-A, but had very good season last year. The one who is performing the best is actually the lowest-rated prospect. Nathan Martorella was actually performing quite well at Double-A for the Padres organization. So maybe he's a player to look forward in the next couple of years to maybe make some progress with the Marlins. In fact, all 3 had the opportunity to make some progress. I'm not really sure where the Marlins are going with this. Are they tearing this down after a playoff season just 1 month later and a bad month at that? It's very interesting they're moving on from Luis Arraez this quickly. Maybe it's an understanding they cannot get him signed long term, which means they're maximizing the return that they can get for Arraez. Although I thought they would be able to get more later in the season, especially because Arraez has maybe had some struggles at the start of this year. He's not quite hitting 300, so it's a very interesting deal for me. I'm not sure where the Marlins go from here. Are they going to continue to tear this thing down after having been kind of a fluke playoff team and try to build it back up around their strong starting rotation next year when most of them are returning? But they're not an offensive team to begin with, so to trade away maybe your best offensive player just does not make a lot of sense for me. I think the Padres are probably winning this deal in the short term. The Marlins getting 4 players back that I would really consider wild cards. If they can hit on 2 of these players as major league players, then this deal looks much, much better for them. But I'm not sure where they go from this moment forward. So at this time, I think the Padres have got the better end of this deal, certainly for this year and next year. But the wild card opportunity with the prospects certainly makes the Marlins very interesting in this trade. So there you have it, folks. There's my take on this massive, massive deal. If it, in fact, does go through, I don't do a ton of these instant reaction videos just because of timing and my ability to get to this camera and microphone. But if you enjoy this type of content, make sure you comment down below who you think won this trade and where these teams go from here. As always, I've got all kinds of baseball content out there on 3 Up, 3 Down. I've talked a lot about 5-tool players lately, so make sure you go check out that video. Till next time, take care, everyone.